The 2026 NFL schedule is here. We know who's playing who in every week of the season, but in particular, we get to gush over our favorite and scoff at our least favorite Week 17 matchups. What games are going to win us or lose us all of our money in Week 17 of the 2026 best ball season? That's what we're going to decide today. We're going to rank all 16 Week 17 games in a tier list, decide which ones are our favorites, least favorites, and everything there. And then, of course, we're going to pop into a draft or two because that's what we do here. Let's have some fun. GM, the schedule comes out, and I can tell. I said, I think yesterday, or have said a few different times, you can tell when it's sort of like the real beginning of best ball season or the fantasy football season, whatever. When the schedule drops, we're all excited, and I can tell I'm excited, and I can tell that the chat is excited as well. See, Blue Blood UNC, shout out to North Carolina. Waiting for someone to make a video like this. Everybody's excited about the schedule and the Week 17 games. Morning, fellow Erik, I think. Scotchy, Taji, Goober, Sword, everybody. Taji is trying to fill the chain mover over here for anybody that wants to draft while we're doing this. Melch is finally able to catch the show live. Good morning. Good morning. Goober points out, for anybody that didn't, it's not still live, but for anyone that's not been following, DraftKings is going crazy with the promos. Shout out to Underdog. They did launch, it's kind of funny, the Wednesday show that I did here. I'm not saying that this is the difference between correlation and causation. There was no causation here, but there happened to be correlation that we sort of, said DraftKings is going hard at the best ball streets this year, and Underdog hopefully will step up their game a little bit because it's been a rocky short stretch here for Underdog. And Underdog came out and launched a draft 5 get 1 free BBM promo, and in such typical DraftKings fashion, they then last night launched a draft 1 get 1 free promo. So hopefully everybody caught that, but DraftKings is doing a ton of promos. It's a great summer, man, to be in the best ball streets because drafters, right, has insane rewards. You get 2 free tickets right now if you do 10 drafts, 25 drafts, 50 drafts, 100 drafts. Every time you hit these new milestones, you get multiple free tickets on drafters. DraftKings is doing 1 million free ticket like promos like every day, basically. Whether sometimes it's for like a DFS ticket or something, and so maybe whether or not that's of interest to you is up to the user. I got some free golf tickets for doing some millie drafts. I'm cashing right now. Shout out to me. Turn my free ticket maybe hopefully into $50. But anyway, and the Underdogs even getting into the promo game. It is a hot best ball summer already, and it's only May 15th. Let's see. If I missed folks in the chat. Good morning. Nitty, Hoohames, NFL draft and schedule release really should be a federal holiday. Agree. Evan says both my running backs by 13 and tough matchups playoff weekends. I'm not sure which running backs you're alluding to, but the beauty of best ball is that we get to draft a bunch of teams. So if you drafted a team that unfortunately has some buy overlaps that you don't like already, guess what? We get to draft more teams. The best way to draft more teams, in my opinion, very, very biased. At the top of your screen, of course, it says Spike Week Premium. There is a link in the description to get access to. You'll see when we get into a draft a little bit later, the draft hacker at work. You'll really get to see the full power now that we have the schedule. You'll see the week 15, 16, 17 schedules on your screen while you draft. Of course, this is on desktop. And 1 million different player exposures, combinatorial ownerships, projected ownerships, anything that you want to see while you are drafting. The correlation aspects are really, really huge. I think you can set the different colors that you want. You can set ownership thresholds. You can set whatever it is that you want to see during a draft, right? I like to call it the co-pilot. That's what we try to be here at Spike Week. We have a new draft optimizer, which is another great co-pilot to help you achieve your like exposure goals, achieve like your stacking goals, and maybe you want to have one rookie on every team. Maybe if you draft Stephon Diggs, you don't want to have any more of those dusty veteran wide receivers. You can set groups and say, just let me only have one of Stephon Diggs and Deebo Samuel and whatever, right? You can customize all that different stuff. Will help you achieve your best ball goals. With Spike Week Premium, it's just $39.99 a month. You get access to the Discord, the rankings that we have, strategy content, everything comes with Spike Week Premium. All right, let's get into some I like colors. That is great. So what we're going to do is go through all of the games. I have a let's do, let me see here. I'm just going to share this full window over here. So for those of you new around here, we also have a playoff schedule cheat sheet. You can go to the site, you go to tools, right? There's a whole bunch of shit under the tools, right? We have a lot of different tools at Spike Week. That's kind of what we do. But there's a playoff schedule cheat sheet out there if you ever just want to have it handy dandy, bookmark it or whatever on the side until you memorize it, or maybe you don't ever want to memorize it. So what we're going to do is just go A to Z, or I guess A to W. We're going to go A to W with all 16 games, and I'm going to put them into a tiers list over here. Right? So like a tiers list like a school grade. A through F. Is this an A game? Right? Do you have a 4.0 GPA, or are you failing out of fucking high school? That's the scale we're going to go here. There's 5 different tiers. What we're going to try to do, of course, there's 16 games, which doesn't divide perfectly by 5, right? But what we're going to try to do is grade on a curve. I'm going to start with the Arizona game, and we're going to work our way down the list. And if I have to move some games around as we work our way through the list, and we'll talk through all of these different games. The caveat, of course, and you guys will hear me say this all over the summer, we don't just want to be targeting our favorite game, right? Like, we can't really predict exactly which game's going to have the highest amount of points. And even the games that have the highest amount of points aren't necessarily the games that like win all the fantasy money. You know what I mean? But there are levels to this. And what fun is it to get the new schedule and the new week 17 matchups and not talk about our favorite games, right? There are some things like overlapping games, and some teams will play, like there'll be a week 17 game. It is, I believe, Chiefs and Chargers, right, play in week 17. And it's in LA, which is nice. That's a very fun game, of course. But both of those teams also play the 49ers in week 15. So the Chargers play them in week 15, and the Chiefs play them in week 16, right? So that's like kind of a little fun thing. It's like, whether or not that's your favorite game, it's like, these are these little micro edges that we try to stack over the course of our entire portfolio. Like, okay, you use Worthy bring back on a Herbert Lab McConkey stack. That's fun for week 17. Well, you're deciding between Ricky Pearsall, and I know this doesn't go in ADP order, but you're deciding between Ricky Pearsall and Michael Pittman or whatever around pick 100. Maybe on this team, let's do Ricky Pearsall, because there's a little bit of extra, just right, these tiny little microscopic boosts, but they are boosts nonetheless. 49ers D is trash, though. Exactly. Behold says the 49ers defense is going to be trash. Exactly. That's wonderful. We want bad defenses. Bad defenses with good offenses is the fucking fantasy dream, and the 49ers might be one of those. All right, let's start at the top. This might take a little while, I imagine. Arizona against Las Vegas is our first week 17 game in Arizona. And it's always difficult, because what I want to do is I get very excited at the top, when you see these really, really exciting games at the very top. I'm really excited for Vegas with Clint Kubiak, with Fernando Mendoza, with some offensive line upgrades. They invested a good amount in the defense for sure. But Arizona is one of those teams, like we just talked about quickly with San Francisco, that I think that they have some offensive firepower. Not I think. I know. Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson, Jeremiah Love is pretty sexy. The quarterback position leaves a lot to be concerned. I'm pretty excited about this. In Arizona, in the dome is nice. Two offenses that I think are pretty exciting. Hold on. I know you were saying it like playing the Niners was a bad thing. If that's how it came across, that is exactly the opposite. I was saying it like they play the 49ers. So you have three teams that are now correlated across, right? If you draft a Chiefs Chargers week 17 sort of stack, both of those teams play the 49ers in weeks 15 and 16. That's a good thing because now you have extra added correlation, right? If you add the 49ers in to a Chiefs Chargers game stack, you get extra little mini playoff correlation. I'm excited about this Arizona and Vegas game, but I don't think I can put it up top, right? I don't think I can put it at the top. Where's Vegas at? I'm going to put the road team first. Las Vegas at Arizona. So we'll do that moving forward. Las Vegas did upgrade the offense. They do still have. Look, I'm a Jalen Naylor fanboy, but come on, that's Jalen Naylor, Trey Tucker, Jack Bash. These guys, it's not, and Fernando Mendoza certainly needs to be solid. I don't want this to be Kirk Cousins. I don't like if this is Kirk Cousins against Carson Beck. I don't think that this can be an A-tier game, but it has the potential to grow to an A-tier game. This is a good question and a good point. There's no possible way that I will not be hypocritical at any point over the course of this discussion. I will try to bring ADP into account for sure. I will try to bring everything I can into account, but in just a minute or two on every game, there's no way I'll get to everything. We're vibing a little bit, okay? But I think the sort of quarterback issues, the Cardinals have like a little bit of total risk of ruin this season, I think, specifically as it relates to the quarterback stuff. I just don't think it can get to the top tier for me, as excited as I am about the Raiders. And then you add in ADP, right? So Genty goes in the first round. Bowers and McBride are both second/third round. Love is second/third round. You can get the quarterbacks and like Jalen Naylor and shit for cheap, but like Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison are not like super cheap. So I think with pricing, some of the quarterback issues, there's a lot to love about this game, but I can't put it in the top. We're going to put it in the second tier. Let's see. The Jets and Vegas are the only wins that the Cardinals have a chance for in 2026. This is a great point. Bowers versus McBride for King of the Slappies in week 17. Is it a good thing? It's if you are one of the people who takes like Gibbs 101 and does the whole bully tight end thing, right? Which for anybody unfamiliar, like bully tight end would be like taking two of the elites. I think there's really only two like truly elite tight ends this year, and that would be Bowers and McBride. Like, is it good that they play each other in week 17? Right? That's like if the thesis of the play is I'm going to dominate tight end, and hey, they could hit the flex too. I think this is the nut outcome, right? They'll be playing against each other in week 17. I think that's it. Roni says somebody's putting up 40 in Raiders Cardinals. That's why it's near the top. That's why it's near the top. I can't confirm nor deny, but I definitely can't argue with a lot of upside in Cardinals Raiders. But another game that I think that has a lot of upside. God damn it. This is going to be a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. Atlanta at home against New Orleans, another dome game. Two more reasonably exciting offenses. Atlanta falls a little bit into the like Arizona tier, like not of like my projection of the offense, but just I have quarterback concerns, right? I have some concerns. I don't have concerns about Bijan Robinson. I don't have concerns about Drake London. I don't really even have concerns about Kyle Pitts in terms of who Kyle Pitts is. And we know he has fantasy upside. I'm excited about the Saints. I don't think either of these defenses are awesome, though the Falcons are slowly getting a little bit better. on offense. I don't think the Saints defense is going to be very good. The Saints play at a fast pace, right? We get the dome stuff. Should be reasonably high passing rate in this game. So it's definitely not at the bottom. But we're talking about Tua versus Michael Penix. I like Tyler Shuck, like as a fantasy bet. I'm not like on the small sample of him for half a season. I'm not like crowning Tyler Shuck a really good NFL starter after one season. The Saints do have some really fun weapons, but I think that Saints at Falcons has to be in the B tier. You also have a little bit of the ADP issues. There's going to be a lot of these, though, right? The ADP issues. You have a little bit of the ADP issues for the sort of quarterback concerns that we have. The ADP of, right? So Chris Olave and Travis Etienne both go in the third round. Jordan Tyson goes in the 60s. That's like fine in a vacuum. But then you have Bijan in the first round, Drake London in the second round. So again, to get the like primary pieces on these teams, you can do it. But what I hate, and we'll see how many times this comes up over the course of the conversation about all these games. What I hate is when you have to, if you want like the best parts of the game stack, you have to be like round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. You know, that kind of stinks because now I've wrapped all of my high equity draft assets in one individual week 17 game. What I really like, and you can do that with this game, right? Juwan Johnson is cheaper and Kyle Pitts is cheaper. You could draft backup running backs. You can draft wide Devon Vele, Zachariah Branch. You can do that with some of these, but I do dislike, and our opponents will do this. Like so you take, we'll get to it in just a second, right? You take Jamar Chase, and now you got to have Derrick Henry. And then you got to have T. Higgins, and then you got to have Lamar Jackson, and then you got to have, and your whole team from the first 5 rounds are all built around this same game. It doesn't generally work like that. Generally you get like a guy or two on one side, a guy or two on the other, and a quarterback or something. And it's not usually just it's very difficult actually for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and Derrick Henry and Burrow, whatever. Like it for all of them to be the best top 5 round picks, it becomes a little bit difficult. We'll get to this one. LED says I think that there's going to be several of those different games that we have sort of that complaint about. But if I'm going to do it, I do prefer it to be like, I don't want to pay the premium prices when like Tua and Tyler Shuck are the quarterbacks, or Carson Beck and Kirk Cousins are the quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Like Burrow versus Lamar is like, all right, I can at least convince myself like this is worth it to spend all that money on those guys. But it's a factor, right? ADP is a factor. All the inside outside is a factor. All this stuff is a factor. All right, we got 2 B games so far. They're both pretty good. Oh geez, I didn't even really realize. And I mean, it's on the thumbnail. I understand it's outdoors in Cincinnati at Christmas time, but like, it doesn't get better than this, does it? Baltimore, Cincinnati. The Cincinnati defense is straight Swiss cheese. Horrible. I mean, they're going to be you can never predict exactly who's going to be the stone worst defense in football, but there's no denying that the Cincinnati Bengals defense is not going to be good. Right. So now you get Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, a bunch of these, a fairly cheap Mark Andrews, a bunch of cheap, assuming they don't sign, maybe they do sign Stephon Diggs or Deebo Samuel or Keenan Allen or something like that. Those guys are cheap for the Ravens. If they don't sign one of those guys, you have last round Bateman, last round 2 rookie wide receivers, last round Tez Walker. Justice Hill is free. So if the game turns into a shootout or Derrick Henry's hurt or something, you get to the Bengals are expensive at the top. Jamar Chase, of course, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, Chase Brown. But you do have like a dirt cheap Mike Gesicki, whether it's Taj Brooks. I don't really want to draft Samaje Perine, but I just drafted Taj Brooks last night. I don't think he's crazy. There's enough to make this work, and I just don't know how this game is anything other than an A tier game. I think Mike Gesicki has come out looking not just because of this matchup, but has come out looking better, from the draft and free agency and everything like that. Mark Andrews has as well. So I think the tight ends are really good picks in this game. I don't know how to put Baltimore, Cincinnati anywhere, but the top tier. Let's see. Yeah, Diggs is the most Ravens ass signing imaginable. I'm almost like sort of predicting it. Like I'm just throwing shit at the wall. But it does. Diggs feels like a fucking Raven to me, like a Raven. Blue Blood says huge flaw in my game last year was over correlating and overstacking. So that's the thing. We're having fun in this conversation. I think correlating week 17, stacking week 17, all that kind of stuff is good. It's not bad, but it can become bad if you overdo it, you overcorrelate, you overstack. It is but one lever that we can pull of many different levers, right? We're at the fucking fountain soda machine. Today you want the Mountain Dew, tomorrow you want the fucking Diet Coke, whatever. They're just one lever. Also ADP value is a lever, and also the best fucking pick. You have a guy who's the best pick on the board. There's a guy available in a totally different tier, right? You have a portfolio to worry about. You have positional allocation to deal with. You drafted a robust running back team, and you really need wide receivers, or you really need tight end, or oh shit, you're about to get locked out of quarterback in that draft. You need to make sure you get good quarterback play. It is but one thing to consider among many things to consider while you're drafting. And so you don't want to, just like you don't want to overdo anything, right? You don't want to overdo reaching for uniqueness, which we like to do around here. You don't want to overdo, and maybe you do want to overdo your own like player takes or whatever, right? Because it's more fun to do it that way. You believe in your player takes, but still at a certain point, like someone might fall that you don't like, and it becomes a good time to take. If somebody falls 2 rounds after ADP, and you think they go in the 3rd round, but you think they should be a 5th round, and you get them in the 5th round, it's a great time to take them. So there's always a bunch of conflicting things to deal with when you're on the clock to make an individual pick. The week 17 one is just very fun, and it's of course top of mind. It's not nothing, but you also don't want it to trump everything else that you're thinking about while you're drafting. Cameron says, can we quantify ping pong somehow? I'd be willing to do a deep dive in the Discord. Yeah, it's something we can think about. Oh, this is interesting. We can think about the ping pong idea. I've been looking into it a little bit, but I haven't gotten to do like a full study. I think Sam Sherman's win displayed perfect stacking and building. I don't know Sam's team off the top of my head. I mean, dude, mega congrats to Sam for winning. I just don't think there's a such thing as a pro best ball player. So I just take umbrance with a pro. I mean, he drafted like 60 BBM teams or something like that. And like I know people that draft like 3,000 or 4,000 teams a year, and I would not call them pros. I would call us sickos. Like we care more about this, but like we all, even the people who really care about this and spend a whole bunch of time on it, like I'm not a pro. No one. I don't think anyone is a pro. Sam is good at this and knows what he's doing and cares a lot about it. But I just wanted to call that out. Like if somebody's like draft with the pros, like people say like there's no fucking pro basketball players. Like stop it. You don't do this professionally. I don't do this professionally. That's why I'm creating content. That's why other people are creating content stuff, because you can't really survive as a professional basketball player. All right. We've only made it through 24 minutes in, and we've only made it through 3 games. This is such an Erik stream. But here's a good one. All right. Buffalo at Miami. Yeah, I'm a degenerate. Let's see. Yeah, you can definitely be a DFS bro. I know several. Shady's one of the best DFS players in the world. Buffalo at Miami. This one's very tricky because this has Buffalo goes crazy written all over it, right? The Dolphins are in a complete and utter rebuild. We are terrified of their offense because of this rebuild, because it's going to be shitty. And it is going to be shitty, which is part of the push-pull with this. but the defense is going to be equally as shitty. They have more money in dead cap than the most dead cap of all time. They have more money in dead cap than any of us could ever dream about making. They're paying guys not to play for them more than any of us will make in our lifetimes, more than these pros will make in their lifetimes. It's a disaster, which means and it's in Miami, which is nice, right? You get away from the Buffalo cold, you get to a little bit warmer temps. It's a pretty good game. The only reason why I am struggling with it, so this could be a pro or a con, right? On one hand, you don't like Miami quite as much. Okay, so now we're going to go to three, not just two hands, three hands. One hand, we don't like Miami quite as much, right? We like the Buffalo side. So when it's a one-sided game, it's a little less exciting. But I don't think the Buffalo defense is going to be that good, right? And so if Buffalo just boat races these guys, I think the Buffalo defense will be still giving up some points, even to the Miami fucking, disaster squad of late season, whoever the hell is playing, Caleb Douglas and Chris Bell. And is Achane out there? I don't know. Is it Jalen Wright or Ollie Gordon? I don't know. I think the Bills will still give up points. Plus, outside of Achane, the Dolphins are free. The Dolphins are completely free. So the Dolphins are going to give up a bunch of points. We know the Bills are a good offense and are going to score a bunch of points. The weather should be fine. And the Bills defense is going to probably cede some points. And whether even if it's Achane, fine. If it's not Achane, the cost, right, to the ADP point we were making before, the cost is nothing to get Dolphins players. I've convinced myself we're blowing our load bright and early. Buffalo, Miami to the top. I mean, this is two bad defenses, one elite offense, one shitty offense, but the shitty offense is priced like a shitty offense. We're getting them for free. We're getting the Dolphins for free, and they're going to score some points. I don't know who the hell it's going to be. I don't know if it's Achane. I don't know if it's Malik Willis. I don't know if it's Chris Bell or Caleb Douglas or Malik Washington or Greg Dulcich or Theo Weiss, Jalen Tolbert. I don't know. And that's the difficult part, but I'm not having to pay much to find out. And on the Buffalo side, James Cook, great. Josh Allen, great, right? Kincaid, Shakir, DJ Moore, fine. What if it's Ray Davis? What if you can use pick 200? Ray Davis could do it. James Cook might not even have to be fucking hurt in this game. And Ray Davis could do it. In the second half, 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's not inconceivable against the tanking Dolphins with $200 million in dead cap. That's exaggeration. Yeah, Ollie Gordon, Jalen Wright. What's beautiful about this one is you could build on in the 17th and the 18th round of underdog in the late rounds of DraftKings. You could bolt on pieces to this game that are super fun and high upside, and you don't necessarily have to worry about getting DJ Moore or Devon Achane or Dalton Kincaid or something. Those guys are fine too, but you can do some really fun, cheap stuff in this game. I have a bunch of Ray Davis, and I think Ray Davis is a really good best ball pick. So yes, I'm gonna be biased. We're vibing, as we said. All right. Wow. Out of the gates hot. 4 out of the 16 games are already all in the top. Okay. Now we'll get to. I've drafted a bunch of Carolina. I'm drafting JSN. I'm drafting some of the Seattle backs, and I have a decent amount of Bryce Young. And I would be lying if I said I'm equally as excited for at least Carolina is at home, I guess. But this game is definitely near the bottom. And if we're grading on a curve, all right, right now, Seattle at Carolina is going in the D tier. It is possible it moves down. I have no real sense it could possibly move up. Seattle, obviously fresh off of a Super Bowl, run heavy. elite, one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league. I think the Carolina defense continues to get better. I'm excited for the Carolina offense, but I don't think it's fair to, expect them to do anything special, and not against a Seattle defense. And now my dog is whining at me, dude. Every fucking show at this time, my wife is taking a Pilates class, so if I end up having to do something here, we'll riff. The Seattle defense is outstanding. The Carolina Panthers defense, I think, is going to be okay. And I just don't see how this game could ever really shoot out. Kevin Coleman, a good shout on Kevin Coleman, another Miami Dolphins wide receiver. Let me let this fucking dog out. Turn some music on. We'll take a small break. We're 5 games in here, and we'll take a miniature break here. Let me find. This is truly unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. I can't make it through one show without these motherfuckers going absolutely crazy. I appreciate you guys for your patience. No Zeppelin. We have a bunch. So shout out to Jesse Wilkins, co-host of Hometown Ghost Stories with one of our Spike Week hosts, Rob Coakley. He does I have a whole mess of music here in the background. Didn't even wash your hands? No, I didn't, because my I'm trying to listen for my dog that he definitely had to, what. All right, we're 5 games in. Let's move on to game 6. Let's get when will Robbie back? Soon for sure. We're working on I got a couple other things in the works in terms of weekly content, and we're figuring out Rob's cadence, but he will definitely be back. Shout out Sweetleaf. I have 2 dogs. Shout out to all the dog lo-fi dog walk. There you go. Shout out to all the dog owners. Appreciate you guys' patience. It wouldn't be a Spike Week stream if it were not for like dogs interrupting something and all this chaos. Doovie says Seattle versus Carolina last year had 37 points in it. If Carolina improves slightly, that game could be sneaky for sure. And I think Carolina will improve. I'm not like avoiding that game or anything like that, but I think Carolina is also going to improve on defense, and I do think ultimately they want to run the ball a little bit more than the average team. And so sneaky is possible, and of course, right, things like injuries can happen over the course of the season, but I'm not like super bullish on this team. All right, next game. It's true. Chicago. Oh, geez. Chicago. Okay, so the Bears are at home in Chicago versus the Lions. I'm gonna get roasted. It's a stone cold lock. I'm gonna get roasted for this one. I assume everyone thinks this is an A-tier game. I just don't see how this is an A-tier game. We're going B. I had this one prepped and ready. We're going B. The Lions at the Bears. I think a couple of things at play here. These 2 offenses are obviously great. The Lions are a different team at home, as we know. The Lions are a different team at home. The whole golf outdoors type stuff. I think the Bears defense is continuing to improve. I think the Lions defense is continuing to improve. I think the Lions defense has been one where we've really like not seen what they could have been over the course of the last couple seasons due to injuries. We keep expecting the Lions to just like have a whole like a shootout every single week. But if not for injuries, their defense was pretty solid. Wow, I'm surprised. I thought the chat would like this game a lot more. I think it's very possible that. So let's do this. All right, I'm with you. I'm with you. Let's try. Let's put it in C for right now, and see where we go with this one. And let's get to the next game. Ben Johnson revenge narrative again. Yeah, revenge narrative on both sides. I guess. I think they're both good offense. I no matter, right? We can't overcomplicate. Like the weather doesn't matter that much, and we don't know how much the weather is going to matter. It could be fine, and teams can score. The Bears were having high-scoring playoff games in Chicago. Like, there's no way this can be at the bottom, but it is also expensive. Obviously the Lions are just expensive, but the Bears are pretty expensive. It is expensive to make this one work. So, I can't put it at the bottom. These two offenses are far too good. And the weather can only be so much of a concern. The outdoor golf thing can only be so much of a concern. It can be a concern, but you can't move it to the bottom. But we can put it in the middle for now, and we'll sort of see where things head. Okay, we already obviously did Cincinnati, Baltimore. Let's do Cleveland, Indy, and then I probably got to go let this fucking dog, this dog in. Cleveland and Indianapolis is going to be our very first fucking F. No, thank you. Daniel Jones outdoors in Cleveland at the end of the season with Alec Pierce deep threat as his number one option, Jonathan Taylor running into the back of his offensive line with Shador airmailing Denzel Boston and Kevin Concepcion. RIP to my boy Harold Fannin, but this game stinks. This game absolutely stinks. I don't know how anyone could be excited for this. Indy at Cleveland, gross in the F tier. All right, I will be right back. Let me let this dog in. Let's do how about this one? All right. I appreciate your patience. This little shithead is having a blast. I mean, he'll probably come into camera here in just a minute. Headbanging music. I know Melch is a big hard rocker. We'll play some music over the course of the summer for sure. I'll try to get some. I'll get some new beats from Jesse as well. Tim says, late to the stream, so I missed the Arizona talk. As a Cards fan, not a believer in Beck at all, but Jets, Saints, Raiders in the money weeks is probably best case scenario for him not being giga ass for fantasy. I totally agree, dude. I totally agree. I mean, I have it in the B tier. And that's just for the week 17 game. The playoff schedule is phenomenal. So if you were fade, like that's the hard part. It's like even if it's Carson Beck, well, now you got some really good matchups for the Cardinals guys. So the playoff schedule has not been a negative for Arizona. All right. On to the next game. Oh, baby. So I'm sensing I'm too positive so far. Maybe it's just sampling bias. The good games are at the top. Maybe the good games are just at the top. But Dallas at home against the New York Football Giants. It's an A. It's an A. It has to be an A. The Giants, I'm probably too high on the Giants. That's certainly possible. But I just drafted third round Malik Neighbors before this show. And you can so easily get him with CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens. It's Cam Scatterbo. If you don't like Neighbors as much as I do, you can get Cam Scatterbo pretty cheap. You can get Isaiah Likely pretty cheap. The dirt cheap Giants, other wide receivers, Darnell Mooney, Malachi Fields, whatever. If you like Ryan Flanoy as much as I do for cheap, Jake Ferguson is cheap. Dak is totally affordable. Jackson Dart is totally affordable. If you want this game, you can have it whenever you want. The Dallas Cowboys got a little bit better on defense this year in the draft, but this is still not a superstar defense. The Giants are the same way. They continue to get a little bit better on defense. Are they unstoppable? Are they going to stop the Cowboys' elite offense? Absolutely not. I don't see really any negative. It's in the dome. The only negative to this game is the fact that the Cowboys fucking stadium has we need to make sure the sunlight, right? They don't have we need this game to get flexed to Sunday Night Football. We need the Giants to be good so this game gets flexed to Sunday Night Football so that the fucking sun isn't shining in through the hole in the stadium and blinding our wide receivers in the game. It's a smash. I love that this is one of the Week 17 games. Shout out Malik Neighbors. Okay. All right. So here's a yeah, with the juggernaut of an offensive brain trust that is Nagy, Callahan, and Roman, how could you not be excited? I agree. If only it is one factor in the grand scheme of things for sure. Actually, the new episode of Legendary Sickos is coming out tomorrow morning, and we discuss a little bit of the Matt Nagy stuff as it pertains to the Giants. Next game, Denver at New England. I'm gonna go right now. I'm gonna go D. I'm gonna go D to start, just because I think both of these offenses are pretty. This isn't like Colts Browns is both disgusting. It's disgusting in every possible way. Not good offenses, decent defenses, at least on the Cleveland side. And Daniel Jones, Shador Sanders, Deshaun Watt, like it's all gross. It's outdoors in Cleveland. This is outdoors in New England. And two very good defenses. Undoubtedly two very good defenses. Two of the better top 10 for sure defenses. But there's also two good offenses. And at the end of the day, good offense does beat good defense. And so this is my stand right now. This is my take right now. When we get to the end and we got a grade on the curve, because I've already used probably up most of my A's, probably all of my A's. We're going to put this one in D. We'll see where it stands at the end. Because again, if you're just joining now, we're grading on a curve. So it would be really easy for me to put like a bunch of these in all A's and B's. I'm going to try to grade on a curve. And keep a pretty similar amount, right? Probably one extra C. And so it would be what 3, 3, 4, 3, 3 is what we're hoping for. But that would be, we got a lot of C's to go. All right. Next up, we did Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay, and Houston. God damn it. This stinks because I've been drafting a decent amount of Packers. Outdoors in Green Bay, CJ Stroud. Outdoor. If we're gonna ding Goff for like outdoors Jared Goff, I'm not so sure that outdoors in Green Bay, Wisconsin at Christmas time, CJ Stroud is particularly good. I'm actually gonna put this in F. Houston, Green Bay. The counterpoint would be I think that it's pretty easily attainable by ADP. You could make a case for a bounce back on CJ Stroud, right? Bouncing back from a couple of poor seasons. I am pretty bullish, generally speaking, on the Packers offense for this season. So, you could make a case for a few different reasons for it being better than I'm giving it credit for, but there's no doubt in my mind the Texans are going to be one of, if not the very best offense or defense, definitely not offense, defense in the league. I think the Packers are going to be a quality defense. Exactly how good, I don't know. Micah Parsons needs to get back. But I just don't really see how these are bad defenses. I don't see how this is a good game environment. And I'm pretty bearish on the Texans offense as a whole. So F. Houston at Green Bay. F. We did Indy. Oh fuck. Okay. The Washington Commanders at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shit. Okay, grading this on a curve is going to be very difficult because I also see the next game that's up, which is Kansas City at LAC, and I've used up all my A's and B's. Okay, so I got to go through this and see. Kansas. So the next two games are Washington at Jacksonville. So in Florida, Commanders at the Jags, pretty freaking fun, and the Chiefs at the Chargers. And I got to decide if either of those are better than these games I have in the A's and B's. God damn it. Yes, you're 100% right. I think, yeah, hey, I'm with you. I'm working on it. Okay. I said I'm going to adjust on the fly. I know that there's no way that Buffalo Miami is better than these two games. I know it. Okay. I got it. Son of a bitch. Let's see. Oh, man. So I'm starting to think through some of these things. So the real beauty of Chiefs Chargers is that it's also not that hard to get. Not that hard to get. Like Ladd's in the 40s, Hampton's in the. So I guess Walker, Rasheed, and Hampton are in the second round. But after that, it's really easy to get. Okay. First things first, I'm definitely moving this down. Buffalo, Miami is moving down. Washington, God damn it. Washington, this is hard. Washington, that's what she said. At Jacksonville is really good. And speaking of price, Washington has the first Commander to go off the board is Terry McLaurin. The first Jaguar to go off the board is Bashal Tutin. Okay. All right. Okay. Don't get mad. I'm moving Vegas and Arizona to C. I reserve the right to adjust. I think it's more fun to go through this. Okay, I think it's more fun to, like, if I prepped and had all my answers ready. That's fucking boring ass content. That also doesn't need to be live. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Uh, Erik giving out a finite amount of A and Bs would be the worst teacher ever. I would be an awesome teacher, by the way. Kids would learn from me because I'm strict and blunt, but I'm also a kind person. I would care for them, but they would fucking learn. Okay, this is where I'm standing right now, which means, goddamn, I'm also gonna move Giants, Cowboys to B, and we're gonna do Washington, Jacksonville up to A, and Kansas City, LAC up to A. I think right now. Those are our 3 A's. Those are our 3 B's, which means we need a couple more. Well, we don't have any more A's and B's. We don't have any more A's and B's. It really did. It really did. Oh yeah, I would be a terrible teacher. Actually, everybody thinks they would be a good teacher until they have to teach. For sure, I was a good coach though, which is sort of teaching adjacent. I was a good football coach. Ask my players. I think this is right. The Washington Jacksonville thing really is sort of brain breaking. Like when you think about it, Jaden Daniels back. The Jaguars ascended to a high level of offense and should probably be even better this year 2 of Liam Cohen, right? Can Travis Hunter bring anything? A full year of Jacoby Myers. Parker Washington has sort of ascended. Brian Thomas could bounce back. Bashal Tootin year 2. Like the Jags offense should be even better. Washington, I don't think the defense is going to be all that good. And but Jaden Daniels back, right? They need to probably add a little bit at receiver, but we think that's going to be Brandon Ayuk, and just Jaden Daniels in a potential shootout game. And again, the prices. Won't you think of the prices on Jacksonville and Washington are crazy, man. You can get that game whenever the fuck you want. You can stack it with the expensive pieces. You can get cheap running backs. You can get cheap tight ends. You can get whatever you want in Washington, Jacksonville. It has to be an A. It's in Jacksonville. Has to be an A. And there's no way to not put Kansas City, when especially as high as I am on the Chargers offense. Mike McDaniel, I think the Chiefs defense is going to, unless that corner that they traded up for in the first round is Pat Surtain, I'm not, Steve Spagnuolo will make them they'll never bottom all the way out on defense for sure. But I'm not so certain that the Chiefs defense is going to be that great. I think the Chargers defense is going to be pretty good, but it's Patrick Mahomes. I just think it would be downright disrespectful. Here's the Nagy tiebreaker to put a Matt Nagy offense, no matter how excited I am, to put a Matt Nagy offense and the Cowboys over Chiefs Chargers would be just absolute blasphemy. That would be blasphemy to do something like that. So I think this is right. And I stand by Bills, Dolphins over Raiders, Cardinals. I stand by it. The quarterback play is better, and the lack of defense is a lock. The Bills are going to score. Is Mitch Trubisky still the backup? And Mitch Trubisky could score a bunch of points on this team. This team being the Dolphins. So I stand by that one. Like if it's Carson Beck, Kirk Cousins, and Josh Allen, Malik Willis, if that's the outcome, of course, that's easy to say when I cherry pick the backups. But I think most people are kind of projecting Carson Beck to be the quarterback. But like even if it's Mendoza, like I stand by it. Now the problem. Kyle Allen. Okay, Kyle Allen is the backup. Even if it's Kyle Allen will score fucking points on these guys. All right, so here's where the problem lies. Rams at Bucks. Actually, I don't think this is a problem. I'm fine with this. The Rams defense is solid. From an ADP perspective, You know, Puka and Kyron are expensive. Devonta, you know, the Rams are pretty expensive. I do like Blake Corum. Matthew Stafford and Baker are just fine quarterback picks. This game is fine. No denying it's fine, but it's a C for me. I think it's a C, and I'm pretty comfortable with the C actually. I think the Rams, just about like any matchup, will be good for the Rams. The Rams are going to score points no matter what, but I don't think it's all that great for the Bucs. The Bucs were not quite as good on offense last year. They lost Mike Evans. All they did was replace Mike Evans with Ted Hurst, who, like, Ted Hurst is fine, but you know, and the Rams upgraded on defense again. They spent their picks on awful, weird, fucking Ty Simpson shit and Max Clare. But right, part of the reason why the Chiefs defense is worse is because the Rams traded for the Chiefs' best corner. So I think the Rams defense is going to continue to be pretty awesome. And the Bucs offense is just average. It's not bad. It's just not it's not elite. Like, to match the other ones. I mean, you know, the Falcons stuff we can consider. I think the Falcons Saints is in play to move down for this one. But I'm gonna stick Saints at Falcons here. The dome helps a little bit. The prices are in, I guess, it's similar-ish ballparks. Ibuka and Bucky versus Olave and Etienne. But the Rams are more expensive. You know, it's close. I think there's a case. I mean, it's great for Puka. No denying that. If you're looking for first rounders to fade based on week 17 matchups, Puka Nacua does not make that list. I'm comfortable with a C so far. Okay. Damn. Week 17 is going to be fun this year because I actually kind of like this one, but I think, what games do we have left? How many games? So I need another C, a D, and an F. Okay. So the 49ers play the Eagles. Oof. Okay, what's the F? Tennessee, Pittsburgh. Okay, we're backing into this. We're going to start with, we have 3 games left. Pittsburgh at Tennessee, Philly at San Francisco, and the Jets at Minnesota. Those are the 3 games we have left. For sure the F is Pittsburgh at Tennessee. Has to be. Like, that's slam dunk F, right? I mean, even if Rodgers is playing. Steelers defense is always going to be decent. Tennessee defense, I guess, should be a little bit better. I don't have a lot of faith in Cam Ward. Their weapons are fine. But like Wandale versus Michael Pittman fucking PPR scamming, having a goddamn PPR scam battle outdoors in Tennessee in December, like, no. Rodgers versus Cam Ward, no. That's definitely the F. Vikings Jets has to be D. Has to be. And that's a little, possibly a little unfair. Why do we have to cap the games in a tier? Because we're grading on a curve. If I just put them all, so like, they can't all be the same level of awesome, right? Right? Like, if I'm ranking, if the title of the show is ranking all of the games, and I decided to do a tier list because I think it's more fun, they can't all be A's. They have to be, if there's a ranking list, some have to be below the others. And I think it also makes you actually give better takes, or at least more honest takes. Like, if I did not curve these, I would definitely have multiple of these higher. Like, there would be more A's and B's. I'm very excited. This is true. There's also only so much space on the screen. It's a totally fine question. But I think I'm excited about the Vikings, and I think the Jets defense is probably going to suck. But we are talking Kyler Murray. You know, the Vikings defense probably continues to be pretty good, pretty solid. what are the Jets? The Jets tanking away late in the season. Who's playing quarterback for the Jets? Are Brees and Garrett Wilson and these guys out there for the Jets? Outdoors. Yeah, I think it has to be D, which then means it's Philly at San Francisco, right? Yeah, Philly at San Francisco has to be our last C, and I think that makes I think this makes perfect sense. Philly, San Francisco is a total C for sure. The San Francisco defense is not going to be very good, and the San Francisco offense is going to be good. But Eagles games have been gross for a while now. They have a great defense, and they want to run the football. So they might successfully run the football, and that's fine, but that keeps the clock right. These two teams played in the playoffs, and the Eagles, even as bad as the 49ers defense was, the Eagles went into a fucking shell and were pathetic on offense. And that was with A.J. Brown, and we assume they're not going to have A.J. Brown this year. So it's fine. It's fine, right? We should have done it. C would be it's fine. You don't hate it. You don't love it. It's fine. That's the C tier. All right. A fair point from Deadhead. I would say the Vikings game. Yeah. If we're doing a D plus, if there's a D plus, a D, and a D minus, I don't know how we do the D and the D minus, but the D plus, that's what she said, is Vikings Jets. No pushback from me there. B plus is probably Giants at Cowboys. C plus is probably C plus is tough. The C tier is pretty good. This is a pretty good to the question on grading on a curve. These are pretty strong C's. These are hard C's. These are hard C's. There you go. Good take from Steven. The A games, Ravens at Bengals, Commanders at Jaguars, and Chiefs at Chargers could not only have good Week 17 games, they can also be great advancement pieces because it's good offenses, a lot of them at good prices. I see what you did there. I like it. And then he likes Eagles 49ers as a B plus. I'm with you. Saquon CMC teams are going to be scary to look at in the finals. More people are going to take Saquon and CMC together at the one, or if they can get it in the first and second round. Agree. This is fair. Tim prefers Seattle, Carolina as an F. It's just tough to overcome the other Fs that are out there, but I can't push back on that. Begin the whataboutisms. Yeah, exactly. Carnell Tate going for a 30 bomb. Jalen Warren going for a 30 bomb in our F tier. All right, let's run down the tiers for audio listeners because that was a lot of chaos. There was even some dogs making trips to restrooms and some music, some Jesse Wilkins music breaks, but we got it. Again, for anyone that's just joining or wasn't here at the very beginning, we ranked all 16 Week 17 matchups into 5 tiers, right? A grading scale like your high school grade. It's been 20 years since I've been in high school, but how it wasn't, we had A, B, C, D, and F when I was in high school. Okay. And we graded this on a curve, meaning there have to be an equal distribution of games in each tier. And of course, one of them has to be the most. There's 16 games in 5 tiers. So one of them has to have 4. And naturally, that's the C tier. So it's perfectly balanced. And we ranked all the games let's start in the F tier. The worst to first. Give the bad news first. Colts at Browns. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Outdoors in Cleveland. Disgusting. Those quarterbacks. Yikes. Houston at Green Bay. I'm sorry, Green Bay. I'm sorry. These are probably 2 playoff teams, but this is the epitome of just because you're a good football team doesn't mean there's going to be a bunch of fantasy points in this game. Gross game. CJ Stroud, yucky in Green Bay. Pittsburgh at Tennessee. Even if this is Aaron Rodgers, also yucky. Disgusting game. Fannin versus Warren and FFPC, says Doovie. Can't argue that. FFPC. I do love that you put the FFPC caveat in there because it's true. Because you'll need the tight end premium. You'll need the tight end premium for those guys in that game. D tier. Seahawks at Panthers. Broncos at Patriots. Vikings at Jets. A couple of those probably better real life games than fantasy games, and I think that's sort of the epitome of the D tier. Is there's things to like, but you'll see right once we get to the upper. I mean, the C tier is really strong. So if the D tier seems unfair, it is what it is. As Kiss My Third Leg says, that's phenomenal username. Am I a complete degenerate if I find most of these matchups as an A? No. That's why the curve part of it I think was important, because if we think a lot of them are good, and I do, as we get to the C tier here in just a second, I think a lot of these are really good. We have to, which ones amongst the really good, what's better? What's worse? What has the biggest risks and all that kind of stuff? C tier, Detroit Lions at the Bears in Chicago. That's a big part of this. Raiders at Cardinals. We discussed that pretty much at length. Certainly also appealing. Rams at Bucks. Eagles at 49ers. That's a pretty good C tier. So the C tier has to be the most indicative thing of the whole list, is like, and the fact that like Broncos, Patriots, and Vikings, Jets are in the D tier. I think we're running pretty hot on good Week 17 matchups. So if there's something to take away, is like pretty much all these matchups are good. So who really cares? Draft them all. Pokemon, go catch them all. Saints at Falcons in the B tier. Lead off our B tier. Bills at Dolphins. And I know the Dolphins are going to stink, but we addressed that. Rewind a little bit, and you'll get all the details on that. And Giants at Cowboys. Kiss my third leg. So the entire C tier could be an A or a B. Deadhead would have 8 games in the A. Is the underdog draft 4 get 1 automatic thing only for new signups? No, not for new signups. It's for anyone. So Saints, Falcons, Bills, Dolphins, Giants, Cowboys are in our B tier. And Ravens at Bengals, Washington Commanders at Jaguars, and Chiefs at Chargers in the A tier. I feel pretty good. About this list. Blue Blood said, I think this was a great exercise for the first round. Yeah, the schedule just came out last night. We're vibing it on the morning after the schedule release. You can make adjustments without the curve. And DMAC, we know. He says, we're talking about defenses. I said this at the top, and I understand you probably weren't here. But we're talking defenses 7 months in advance. Anything could happen, injuries, regression. Of course. No one says that more than me over the course of the summer. If you come back and listen, which I recommend everyone to do, Tuesdays through Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern for the rest of the summer, you can come hang out and we can talk fantasy football and draft best ball teams. No one will say that more than me. Like I'm going to, if I draft Carnell Tate, I will also still draft Steelers for Week 17 correlation over the course of the summer. Anything can happen. I'm the one to beat this drum a million times. I don't want to prioritize just my favorite games, but it is also fun to discuss some of these things. And I think, as I said, I think I said this yesterday in the show yesterday. I think at the sort of a barbell approach to like defenses and schedule strength and stuff like that is actually pretty true. Not in that the bang, like there's defenses we project to be good that will end up bad because of injuries or regression. There's defenses that we project to be bad that will end up good through progression from players, right? Or what have you, strength of schedule, etc. But there are also like situations like the Bengals, the 49ers. There's just only so much they can do with the talent that they have that you can be directionally accurate. And then especially when you account for the fact that, again, this is all assuming Joe Burrow's healthy, Lamar Jackson's healthy. We all understand, I think, at least if you're listening to this channel, that like chaos is going to happen. Injuries are going to happen. Joe Burrow could get hurt. Lamar could get hurt. All of the Texans defense could get hurt. Like shit can happen. And that's why the advice I will give you all summer is to not really worry that much about which week 17 games you like the most. It's more so to use it as a look. If you drafted David Montgomery, like maybe take Matthew Golden over this other 11th round wide receiver you might take, 10th round wide receiver, whatever that you might take. Correlation is correlation, not so much picking and choosing our favorite matchups. But A, it's fun. The schedule just dropped. And B, there is a little bit, I think, to be gleaned from some of the schedule analysis for sure. All right, let's put this to the test. It is Freestyle Friday. It is Freestyle Friday. I don't know. So what I would like to do, if anybody has, I'm going to pop on over to DraftKings and hop on into the Millie Maker on DraftKings. I believe I have a free ticket from yesterday, so we're going to go ahead and use that for anyone that wants to join me. What I need from the chat for this, perfect. It's going to be a full friends and family draft. I am the first one into this Millie Maker. So what I need from the chat, for anyone that is new to Freestyle Fridays, I'm going to draft this best ball team, but I need 3 sort of strategy ideas, players, themes, something that I can use in my draft, right? Some people have said things like elite tight ends, elite quarterbacks, 0 running back, robust running back, whatever. But today, the specific help I need is it needs to be week 17 focused. Your rule, your idea, your whatever needs to be week 17 focused. It could have something to do with the tiers that we just did. It could be anything, something relating to week 17. And I need 3 of them, and we'll make sure that I have to check those boxes during the freestyle draft portion. Cool. Have to draft 1 Colt and 1 Brown. Okay. They play each other, of course, in week 17. I like it. Bengals, Ravens. Oh, as much A-list as 2 players from each A tier. So that is, okay, wow, that filled fast. Okay, I'm picking 103. Okay. 3 Bills, 3 Dolphins. Shit, you guys are making this difficult. Okay, so I got 2 minutes here. 1 minute and 37 seconds. 1 minute and 37 seconds to pick out our Scotchy is in here. Blue Blood is in here. Deadhead wants the 3 Bills, 3 Dolphins for the gross factor. All right, let's do that. Here we go. 1 Colt, 1 Brown. Hold on. I gotta edit my 1 Colt, 1 Brown, 3 Bills, 3 Dolphins with Bengals, Ravens. That's what we said, right? We'll save that one for next time. I'll F tier. This is what 1 Colt, 1 Brown. Bengals, Ravens is the theme. The theme is Bengals, Ravens. I cheated because I have the 102, but we'll see if that even works. If it doesn't, it'll be all right. 1 Colt, 1 Brown, 3 Bills. So that's 6, 7, 8. There's 8 of my 20. 8 of my 20. But that's okay. I like the Bills Dolphins one because as Doobie said, I could literally just take them with all my last picks if I really wanted to. Bengals Ravens is the core principle. 1 Colt, 1 Brown, and the bummy Dolphins Bills. I like it. We got some A tier, we got some F tier. We got what did Bills Dolphins end up? B. Okay, Jace. Just let me have Jamar here, please. If you're watching, please. Please, God. This is excruciating 3 seconds. Thank you. All right. Jamar Chase, good start. Let's go. While we are waiting to come back around, if you guys could hit thumbs up for me, that would be phenomenal. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that as well. And as I mentioned, tomorrow, I won't be here for a live show. That's Tuesday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. But I am going to drop our new episode of Legendary Sickos with myself and Pat Kerrane, and be on the lookout for some more new content here on the channel. The goal is, especially now that we have the schedule, to try to get like literally every single day, 7 days a week, all the way leading up to the start of the season, to get new content. Some of it'll be like some shorter form videos as well. Like maybe Monday mornings we'll do something a little shorter form. We'll do some stuff with the tools, et cetera, et cetera. But if you could subscribe to the channel, you can get notified, of course, when new videos drop. And Tuesday through Friday, I'm live here on the channel every day. Yeah, exactly. I definitely cherry picked the Bengals Ravens theme when I saw that I got the third when I saw that I got the third overall pick. Theme that fits as well is that your targets are non-dome games. Interesting. I didn't notice that. Pantera says Henry running back here, I assume, for Ravens Bengals. We'll see. We shall see. Doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be. The difficulty is, what's Zay's ADP? Zay's ADP is before my 4th round pick. Right? Zay's ADP is 40. Wow, 50% of my chase teams have Zay. Wow, that's pretty sick. No shit. Let me go. That's pretty crazy. We'll take a look at that in a second. I haven't looked at my teams yet for, like what I drafted already, to see what kind of week 17 correlation we have. But we'll check that out here in a second after we make our picks around the turn. Well, I have 2 Jamar teams. Wow. Yeah, I got Zay at 46 on one of them. That's pretty fun. So yeah, now, do we roll with it? I can't get H-An, right? Allen doesn't make a lot of. He's gone anyway. Wait, Henry went? Oh yeah, right before me. Oh fuck, Scotchy. Okay. All right, Chase Brown, fine. Do I pull Zay up? Do I hope to push him? I can also take Ravens later, but that does get a little tricky with the Bills-Dolphins thing. What I love about these Friday drafts is it's a fucking puzzle, right? You're trying to still build a good team while being given, right? Somebody gave you a puzzle. You know what the fucking puzzle looks like. But how do you make it how do I make a team that can win $3 million with this sort of unique puzzle? Is pretty fun. It pulls me out of my comfort zone. It's honestly, these are honestly my favorite drafts, because it completely takes me out of my comfort zone. And I have to like critically think about, like I said, putting all these puzzle pieces together throughout the course of the draft. Okay, I'm not going to do T because I did Chase Brown. Colts, Browns. No Colts, Browns. Bills, Dolphins. No. Okay, let's take Jeremiah Love because as I think this through, I don't want a Colts running back. I don't know that I really want a Dolphins running back. And Derrick Henry is gone. Like Judkins or Sampson would be fine. Obviously, I'm hoping for Lamar here. I just want to make sure I put Lamar. You know, if I don't get Lamar, we'll go to Burrow. I guess I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say I want Lamar here. Lamar or Burrow is obviously the priority. But just thinking through, like also trying to think through my positional allocations. Like if I'm going to get a Colt and a Brown, obviously Jonathan Taylor's gone, so I'm not getting a Colts running back. I'm not taking DJ Giddens or some shit. Brown could be Judkins or Sampson. That's fine. I don't really like Judkins very much. The 3 Bills, I mean, I do like Ray Davis, as I mentioned. The 3 Dolphins, Jalen Wright, Ollie Gordon are meh. You know, so Justice Hill's available here, but like I think a lot of these other positions that I'm going to be taking to fill to meet these prompts are going to be wide receivers or tight ends. Not so much running backs. This is such a good point. Drafting 3 Bills and Dolphins with no Achane or Josh Allen or James Cook sounds like the most unfun exercise of all time. That is why it's a Spike Week episode or a Spike Week exercise for sure, because we do some sicko shit. Oh, that feels much better. What do you think will be the most stacked Week 17 first and second round players? Chase Henry, Achane Cook are both good ones. I think Neighbors Pickens. It's not first and second round. That's second and third, but yeah, those would be my answers. Wait? Oh, so I'm cheating because you said first and second round, but McBride could be in the mix with something. But I think I would say Chase, Derrick Henry, and Cook Achane probably. I have to think about that some more. And then, like I said, the second, third round stuff is a little bit different. You can do like Nico Jacobs, the bully tight end, McBride Bowers thing. Dylan Sampson, Doc says Dylan Sampson. Yeah, I like Dylan Sampson. He's definitely in the mix for me on this team, on all teams, but on this team. So the question now is, do I take Lamar and backstack him, or do I take the Burrow side and take some cheaper Ravens pieces? Well, assuming Scotchy here right next to me doesn't take one of them. Okay, he takes Bucky. Let's see. Here's what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to take Cam Scattaboo and then hope or assume that the turn here doesn't take both Lamar and Burrow, and I'll be content with either to start my Bengals Ravens thing. And then I'm like really good at running back. I don't have to like, again, okay. I understand Burrow is like theoretically better on a Chase Brown. But I don't think you can take Burrow over Lamar. I'll just figure out the right Andrews, the Bateman stuff, Justice Hill. I'll just take those guys alongside the Lamar, and it works. It specifically works, I think, a little bit better when you have Jamar Chase and Chase Brown. Not because you don't want Burrow on those teams. Burrow is great on those teams as well, but like the running back is a little bit different than like if I had Chase and T Higgins, right? The only way both of those guys produce is through the air. Directly correlated with, now they're not directly correlated with each other. There's only one football, but they're directly correlated with Joe Burrow. Chase Brown can, of course, catch passes, but he isn't scoring most of his fantasy points from receiving. So he's somewhat correlated to Joe Burrow, but also can in any individual game or on any individual play be negatively correlated with Joe Burrow. Whereas Lamar, right, I don't have Derrick Henry, so I can play Lamar with just the pass catcher type stuff. So like in this game, like, we're playing out this insane scenario, right? Welcome to trying to win $3 million in best ball. Jamar Chase catches 2 touchdowns and Chase Brown rushes for 2 touchdowns. So Joe Burrow doesn't have like a big game. And then Lamar's on the other side, and he's the one going nuts. It's not Derrick Henry. Lamar throws for 5 touchdowns and runs for 1 or whatever, right? So Lamar actually outscores, even though I have Jamar Chase and Chase Brown, Lamar actually outscores Joe Burrow because Chase Brown is scoring on the ground. I've seen some new tools minimize stacking since the field is doing it more than ever. They are prioritizing the highest projected players. General thoughts on this? I think the field is so. This is a long answer that maybe we'll discuss at a different date. I'm unfamiliar with tools minimizing stacking. Here's what I would say: the highest projected players is always a part of the equation. If the field is drafting worse players, like significantly worse players, just because they correlate, then the field is dumb, and maybe the field is dumb. That's never what we promote. Like, you never want to reach across tiers and all that different kind of stuff. But what happens with correlation is projections change, right? Projections are not done. Like, I mean, you might do the projections in a vacuum, but like the story you need to play out for an individual team changes based upon the players that are on it. Once you have a certain quarterback, the pass catcher's projection moves up, right? When you have this week 17 stuff, the projection for the opposing player's ceiling moves up based upon who you've drafted. So if you're only operating based on season-long median projections and not adjusting on the fly for who's on your team, what positions you need, all that kind of stuff, I think that's worse. I think just putting on blinders and say I'm always taking the best player is even worse than like reaching and stuff for stacks. Okay, this is slam dunk Alec Pierce, right? This is get my Colt, slam dunk Alec Pierce. This is an interesting spot. I think it's Fannin, right? Get my Colts and Brown, get actually good Colts and Browns, and I'm going to get a bunch of shitty, cheap. Yeah, Fannin. Okay. Alec Pierce, Harold Fannin, even in that disastrous game, they can be a total stone cold smash, even in that F tier game. And we have an awesome stable of running backs: Chase Brown, Jeremiah Love, Cam Scatterbu. Obviously a little bit light at wide receiver, but we need to do some more Bengals Ravens stuff, and we need to get a bunch of Bills and Dolphins, and there's a lot of wide receivers in that bucket. Chris Bell for late season upside. I agree. Bunch of Bowers, McBride at the 2-3 turn, says Tim. Which 5 teams would you fade for the remaining draft season? Well, that's not really how I play. I don't outright fade an entire NFL offense. But if I were going to do it, if I were going to do it, wow. Let's see. The easy answer is to pick like, oh, the Browns, they're going to be so bad. Who cares? But they're also really cheap, and even the bad offenses do score some fantasy points. So I actually think it would be a more expensive offense, like, man, this is tough. Okay, I'm cheating now because this isn't necessarily more expensive offense. I think, okay, co-favorites. The Indianapolis Colts, because the more I look at the Indianapolis Colts, so the one guy you really want is Jonathan Taylor in the first round. Alec Pierce is fine. Alec Pierce at like pick 70 or whatever, like take it or leave it. I don't think it's like some screaming value. Tyler Warren, same thing. Like their offense is not very talented. Daniel Jones is coming off a very serious injury, and he wasn't all that good to begin with, despite the like hot start to last year. It's not a particularly appealing offense. Now we get the little Browns stuff outdoors in Cleveland in week 17, a little cherry on top there. The Colts would be there. And then my sort of hot take, which he says as he drafts Jeremiah Love in this draft, is I think the Cardinals. So a lot of things could dunk on this. They're definitely talented on offense. I've said that multiple times on this show. McBride, Love, Marv, Michael Wilson. But we're paying for that talent now. 2 different second-round picks, 2 different wide receivers in the 70s-ish range, 60s and 70s. And the quarterback uncertainty is a very real thing. Carson Beck, it could be next level bad. And what happened last year to make McBride and Michael Wilson so good from a fantasy sense is very unlikely to happen this year, with Brissett just throwing 50 times a game down the stretch as they lose every single game. Now they might still lose every single game, but I think it's genuinely possible that we're just paying way too much of a price for sort of the individual talent on those players, and the situation is really, really much worse than it seems. Like they're very clearly the worst team in the division. They're very clearly not going to win a whole lot of football games unless something totally shocking happens. And the opportunity cost for all of those guys is pretty high. So that's really it. It's not that they're going to be necessarily bad. It's the opportunity cost is really high, and the risk of ruin with Gardner Minshew or Carson Beck down the stretch is pretty high. The Texans are also, I see some of the stuff in the chat. The Texans are definitely on that list, or potentially on that list for me. Okay, let's see here. I have an interesting idea for quarterback 2. This is a pretty good price on Sutton, though. I really don't love Cortland Sutton, but this is that's a pretty good price. I think that's the appropriate time to draft Cortland Sutton. Is a team like this that certainly needs some wide receivers, needs to say we're done with Colts Browns, right? We're on our way to Bengals Ravens. We're in a good spot. 2 Bengals plus Lamar. Jaden Reed in that gross ass game. Manunga is not bad, but I want to save my I could just take Nix. Let's do that. Let's take Bo Nix. Oh, shit, I'm not up to speed on. Okay, good. I'm not up to speed on bye weeks yet. I like this. So that's 9 picks. Our prompts are draft 1 Colt, 1 Brown, 3 Bills, 3 Dolphins. Of course, those are 2 different week 17 matchups. And then the Bengals Ravens as the sort of general theme, the focus of the team. Worked obviously well because we got the 103, took Jamar Chase Brown. So there's some Bengals. Jeremiah Love and Cam Scadaboo sort of planning ahead, discuss why I was hitting running back a little bit heavier earlier than I might normally. Pushed Lamar around the turn and took Lamar, Alec Pierce for our Colt, Harold Fannin for our Brown, and then Cortland Sutton, Bo Nix as a sort of, one-off stack from the prompts that kind of fell into our laps a little bit. I haven't taken much of either of them, so it kind of worked out pretty well. I had considered Malik Willis, and I think I'm going to toy around with some more Malik Willis in these drafts. Like, aren't you worried Malik Willis gets benched? Like, yeah, who isn't? But we're getting a good price to find out. Talked about how that game is pretty fun. And he obviously would have checked a box for a Dolphin. And now I got to draft a bunch of Bills and Dolphins here down the stretch. A lot of my remaining picks are going to be Bills, Dolphins, and Ravens. Yeah, draft all 3 rookie Dolphins receivers, hoping one of them hits. That might be the plan. Coach, you want some sauce? You got it. Deion Burks. My favorite, the Deion Burks stuff was one of my favorite things that came from the draft. The Colts, after they drafted him in the 7th, they start talking about, like, we liked him. We really liked him. But then after we drafted him, I think the GM said, I really dug into the film, and I was like, man, I can't believe what a steal. What a steal. It's like, so you didn't really, how do you know you liked him? You didn't dig into the film before, and you passed on him through 6 rounds, and you took him in the 7th, and now you're gonna proclaim you got this huge steal in the draft. Like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, draft the Dolphins wide receivers and get Tolbert. Be the guy. Do you think you'll mix in 3rd-round Flowers on chase teams? It's difficult to say. So, like I said, I had before now in the Millie Maker, I've done 22 teams, and I have two Jamar Chase teams. I had already gotten Zay on one of those. So what I think I'll do is not yet. I'm not going to pull Zay up to the Jamar Chase teams yet. If I'm for the next while, if I'm unable to get him, right? If his ADP rises instead of falls, whatever. If I'm unable to get Zay on Chase teams, I will consider pulling him up. But I don't want to go crazy, right? Zay is just awesome. The perk of Zay is that pulling him up is not really a huge deal because he's just a really good football player and a good pick. So I know Andrews. Oh, so Shakir for sure. We take what I would love is if the people drafting in the 101 and 102 are hopefully not listening, so that I can get my Andrews here, and this will work out just beautifully. My working hot take is that stacking is getting less important as more 12 and 13 personnel is implemented because we're not getting as many big pocket passing QB performances. The counterpoint to that's a completely fair assessment. The counterpoint to that is that when you get the big performances are even more important to have. The games that do blow up, the QB performances that they throw 5 touchdowns and it's you get the huge wide receiver game, the huge whatever. The times when you get the really big performances, they're now even more important to have, and it allows you to get fewer things right. Beautiful. Andrews comes back. Hot damn, this is a good team. Well, we'll find out if it's good at the end once the Dolphins start getting on here. It always feels good before you start clicking the Dolphins and the shitty Bills. But we add, of course, after the Nick Sutton stack, we add Khalil Shakir, checks 1 Bills box. Also, was just one of the top wide receivers at ADP. I think he's a good pick on this team. And Mark Andrews, of course, for a Ravens stack. Because of how early you're drafting, I feel it's fair if you Feel it to be fair, you get to draft a free agent hoping he lands on a team that meets your criteria. I think we can all be confident that Miami signs free. So I'm not confident that Miami signs free agents. They have too many wide receiver bodies. I actually don't think. I think Miami is one of the least likely teams. They're punting on the season. Miami they don't care. They drafted a bunch. They have some young wide receivers on their team already. They drafted some, and they did sign Jalen Tolbert and Tutu Atwell already. They legitimately have too many wide receivers. Some guys are going to get cut. They have too many wide receivers. So Miami would not be one that I would think would get a cut. But like Baltimore might. Washington, right? The worst kept secret ever is that Washington's going to get Brandon Ayuk, but maybe they don't. Maybe they bring Debo back. Maybe they add whatever. Keenan is probably a bad fit after drafting Antonio Williams, but you get the point. Who else? That's mostly it, I think. Most of the teams have done their work. March for Arch. Sean says late to the party, but Raiders, Cardinals, how many Bowers McBride teams? I still don't really like it, but I guarantee I'll be tempted to do it. How many? Not many. Non-zero. There's a fucking cop-out answer. Non-zero. How about that? Not a lot, but non-zero. There you go. How about that for some tout speak? Put me in a fucking tout contest. Shakir's price is weird to me. Is it entirely injury based? I think people are just bored. Shakir's like a legitimately good NFL slot receiver. Just a legitimately good NFL wide receiver who happens to mostly be a slot receiver on a good offense. It's just the Bills are weird, right? They like to play they like to play the 12 personnel stuff. They like to run the ball. They need to, in order for Shakir to be like really good for fantasy, you kind of need some particular game scripts. He's like a fucking passing down back who plays wide receiver. It's so annoying, but like he's pretty good. Him and Kincaid both. Him and Kincaid are underpriced for when things go their way, but they're like pretty perfectly priced for like sort of season long output. But I think they're pretty in full PPR on DraftKings. I think they're pretty good picks. Because you're not depending upon them to be particularly great, but you get to benefit from like Shakir went 8 for 90 and 1 this week because the Bills actually threw the ball 45 times. Doesn't signing Debo or someone like him help with tanking? Maybe. Although I would say my only counterpoint to that is, have you watched Jalen Tolbert play recently? Wow, Willis is still here. Quarterbacks actually falling. I mean, I would be genuinely open to 3 quarterbacks on this team. It would help check that box. I know I'm not the I'm taking Malik Willis. I'll stick to the 2 tight ends now. And Andrews Fannin. I'll probably then bring this down to 5 running backs, which would give me 10 wide receivers. This is a growth in my game. My good friend Pat Corrine, is preaching the gospel of 3 quarterbacks being better. And this is one of those where I would just say, no, I took Lamar. I don't need 2 quarterbacks. But then you get the faller. I'm also sort of chasing the Dolphins stuff. And 20 rounds, a little bit better. And I get the extreme faller. So it's like, I'm a little bit more like in this situation with Lamar and Bo Nix and being light on wide receivers, I would tend to be, my natural stance is more 2 quarterback here. But I tend to be that's the way I tend to draft. I want to be a little bit more open when something, this is, people often talk about like letting the draft fall to you. And I think that's a bunch of fucking malarkey, but this would be one of those situations where it actually does, and be like, be open to this. The draft fell to you in this certain particular way. You just so happen to be trying to target some Dolphin stuff, and like, just take that, right? A round and a half fall or whatever on that quarterback. I'm a big fan. Okay. I need to start getting. I have one bill correct and no Dolphins. One bill, no Dolphins. There's probably no Dolphins. Jesus. Okay. I need receivers. I don't take much Shaheed. I'm gonna do Diggs because I straight up think that this doesn't count. Okay, it half counts. This doesn't count fully for my Bills or my Bengals Ravens thing. I think Stephon Diggs to the Ravens makes too much fucking sense. So I'm as someone said about Duvey was talking about the free agent wide receivers earlier. I'm taking what he said and spinning it a little bit and saying, no, I'm going to take like Diggs is fine regardless. Diggs is fine, but I also think the Ravens thing is a possibility, and it would work goddamn perfect on this team. I have a Dolphin. So Colts Browns is done. Technically, Bengals Ravens as the main theme is pretty much done here, but I have something in my back pocket for that as well. And I have one Bill and one Dolphin, which means that so I have 7 more picks. 4 of them need to be Bills and Dolphins. That's not bad. I do need to actually put a queue together because I'm otherwise I'm gonna screw this up. Oh my god, Keon, absolutely fucking not. Dulcich, Gordon, Skylar Bell, Josh Palmer, holy shit. Ty Johnson. Sorry, Jalen Tolbert. Not happening, brother. Caleb Douglas, Jalen Wright. Kevin Coleman goes before. We're going to put in before Tutu. I have Tutu ranked ahead of him. I think I need to change that. And even Theo Weiss will go on in the queue here. I just want to get the full queue of all these shitty Bills and Dolphins so I don't screw up my prompt here. Shavers tore his ACL in the playoffs. So I'm not drafting Tyrell Shavers. I wonder if we see more Bowers, Love, Genty, McBride instead. I do think this is going to happen. DraftKings could be a little funky. Underdog people, it's so funny because we do say this of underdog drafters are definitely overall macro level sharper, in my opinion. But we also see a lot of the underdog, like the sharper drafters also know that you shouldn't like a lot of stuff we talked about here today. Like the week 17 stuff is fun. You want to do it some, but you don't want to like be reaching a bunch for just to get week 17 correlation. You don't want to be doing like, oh, got to draft all my guys in the first 4 rounds from the same week 17 game. But then that does tend to happen on underdog a little bit more. So maybe we're talking out of both sides of our mouth a bit on the sharp versus dull drafter spectrum. It doesn't happen quite as much on DraftKings. It happens a little more on underdog. I think the underdog people just fall into slappy tendencies a little bit too often. They're generally sharper, but they can't help themselves with some things like the week 17 stuff, as I'm doing right here. Right. It is fun. And so there is a little bit to that as well. Flyfish, Shavers, and the Bills. I'm getting real. I like this phrasing. I'm getting real Skylar Bell curious. Thought he was a Jag pre-draft. See, and I liked Skylar Bell pre-draft. I think Skylar Bell can play. I would also consider myself Skylar Bell curious. Maybe even more than Skylar Bell curious. I have non-zero Skylar Bell in my portfolio thus far, and I'm pretty happy about that. I will have non-zero Skylar Bell. He's also a name I'm going to be monitoring over the course of training camp. Highly productive. One of the most efficient wide receivers in the entire country last year at UConn. Not a perfect profile, not a perfect archetype. Probably a little bit more slot. They think he can play outside. Maybe he can. We'll find out because he needs to be able to play outside with Shakir there. Okay. I think I got to take the 2 Dolphins guys here, right? No. I am going to take Malik Washington. Look, Chris Bell's fun. I'm a Malik Washington guy through and through. I can't give up on my boy in a draft where I have to draft 3 Dolphins. So that's 1 Bill, 2 Dolphins. Okay. I know who I want. I know who I want one of the Bills to be. The other Bill, yeah, is going to have to be Skylar Bell, Ty Johnson. Skylar Bell, Ty Johnson. Okay. Because I also think Justice Hill is a pretty good fit on this team. So are the Ravens wide receivers. Cheap rookie, also Bateman, Tez. I did draft Diggs. Going to be an interesting final few rounds. Okay, and Joku goes. Who is next? Chris Bell is next up on the. I do really want Chris Bell on this team. Let's take Chris Bell. All right, Dolphins done. How about that? Drafted 3 Dolphins before I drafted 3 Bills. Whoever would have thought that was going to happen? Jesus, what a shit show. All right, that is 15 rounds. 15 rounds. Jason said, missed the beginning. Did you lose a bet and get forced to draft bad Bills and Dolphins? So, perfect timing for that question. Thank you for asking. On Fridays, as I mentioned several times, and I apologize for the people who listened the whole time. You kind of have to repeat these things over and over because some people come and go and hop in at the end and whatever. I'm live Tuesday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern every single day, talking best ball, different ideas, and of course, drafting best ball teams. On Fridays, we call it Freestyle Friday. Of course, we ranked at the beginning of the show all 16 Week 17 matchups in tiers. We did that. And then on Fridays, what we do, again, we call it Freestyle Friday, where I show up and we draft some teams, but I specifically get some themes. I like to call them prompts from the chat, where it's like something, right, best ball strategy related, or a specific player, or a stack, or an idea, or a whatever. Last week, even somebody came up with like, you have to draft at least 3 people from your hometown, which is St. Louis for me. So last week in that same draft, somebody said you have to be able to name the college that the player went to before you can't draft that player if you can't name what school they went to. And then, of course, some simple stuff like 0 running back, draft an elite quarterback, whatever, right? All kinds of different stuff. Today, because of the schedule being released last night, and I picked 3 for each draft that I do. So we have some fun, right? I'm still going to try to draft really good teams that can win, but with some sort of different themes to take me out of my comfort zone and try to achieve some different things in some drafts than maybe I would normally do. Today, we did it Week 17 focused, right? So it's the prompts were based around Week 17. And so one of them was because I had the Colts Browns in the F tier of Week 17 games. I had to draft one of each of those. And then we talked quite at length about Bills and Dolphins, and I like it a little bit more, I think, than the average person does. So they said, hey, if you like it so much, why don't you draft 3 of each of those? 3 Bills and 3 Dolphins. And then A tier, probably my favorite game of Week 17 is Bengals Ravens. So that had to be the main theme of my draft. And of course, I got the 103 to be able to get Jamar Chase, got Lamar Jackson, whatever. So that made that a little bit easier. Would you ding Zay Flowers at all if Diggs signs there? Nah, Zay's too good. I would not. If it makes the offense better, good. Well played, sir. Warehouse says, I was sure to draft extra Flowers on Mother's Day. I'll take any edge I can get. Hey, I'm the guy that says keep stacking micro edges. This game, that's all this game is about, is stacking little small micro edges in this draft and your next draft and your next draft and over your portfolio and on this site and on that site, stacking micro edges. I didn't think about the karmic gods looking down favorably upon you for drafting flowers on Mother's Day. That's a good micro edge. Shoot. We say to get unique at the 112 all the time and then do it by doing the week 17 pairings that aren't unique. Exactly. People say, well, I'm going to get unique. I'm going to take these two guys who play in week 17. Like, brother, it may be like sort of unique, but it's never actually unique. You know what I mean? One of my favorite features, just above my head, if you're watching on YouTube, you see this where it says show teams. You can change what this view does. It's a drop down with a bunch of different options, right? Like I can show these playoff matchups too. I get excited when the schedule on the week 17 gets here because you can see, right, you adjust it to playoffs. So you can see, all right, here's all the guys I have in Baltimore, Cincinnati. Here's all the guys I have in Buffalo, Miami. Here's all the guys. It only shows if you have more than one, right? Here's all the guys I have in Indy and Cleveland, and you can sort of track your week 17 exposures while you're drafting a little bit easier. Beautiful. Ray Davis comes back. I was a little taking Chris Bell. I was a little bit scared that I wouldn't get Ray Davis. So now I have 2 Bills. Only need one more Bill. Ooh, this is a little bit tricky because, oh, look at that. Trey Harris plays Miami in week 16. Now that's interesting if he comes back. Dawson Knox. Too many Dawson Knox mentions for my liking. But see, there's a God bless the draft hacker, right? I would never know this if I didn't have, like, I may eventually think about it, like, oh yeah, if I memorize all the week 15, 16, and 17 matchups, which I will by later this summer, they'll just be memorized from doing so many drafts. But right, it just pops off your screen. I'm like, right, and it's in blue because I have blue for you have the quarterback on the other team, whereas orange, or this yellowish orange, you see here Arizona, Devon Vele. I'm like, okay, well, I have a Cardinal. I don't have the Cardinals quarterback, but I have a Cardinal. And it just jumps right off the screen for you, right? Darnell Mooney. I'm like, oh, Darnell Mooney is in this color, which means I have a Giant, Cam Scadaboo, and then I have a Brown, right? So you can like sort of break these ties with these correlations constantly throughout your draft just by being like, oh yeah, being like a dog, being like, ooh, color, ooh, squirrel, ooh, other dog, ooh, whatever, And I just use the colors to help me do that. I do need wide receivers. 3, 4, 7, 2. I think we said we'll probably get to about 10 wide receivers. I think 10 is probably going to be necessary given Alec Pierce is my wide receiver 2, Sutton, Shakir, Diggs, Malik Washington, Chris Bell. It's not that bad, but I am going to take Trey Harris here. And I have one more Bill, right? Yeah, I have 3 picks left, and I have to draft another Bill. I did almost take Justice Hill there, but I didn't want to. I want to. That's a great example of people asked earlier about like the week 17 correlation stuff, and like I've talked about taking it too far and all that kind of stuff. I don't think taking Justice Hill over Trey Harris is taking it too far, but I do have Trey Harris ranked ahead of Justice Hill. He also has his own correlation reasons to draft him. He also has his reasons on like, I kind of want to draft a Charger on every team if I can. There's lots of reasons to still draft Trey Harris. And I straight up have him ranked right to the, somebody asked about stacking versus projection. Justice Hill's projection moves up once I have Lamar, especially when you have Lamar without Derrick Henry. Justice Hill's projection should move up. Right. So that's the like, should you take a stacking guy or just take the best projection? It's like, well, if you're not adjusting the projection based upon the team that you're drafting, I think you're doing it wrong. But in this instance, it was one of those where I'm like, no, there's a couple things in Justice Hill's favor. There's a couple things in Trey Harris's favor, but you have Trey Harris ranked ahead and air quotes projected ahead. So you also need a wide receiver. I'm going to take Trey Harris. If Justice Hill comes back, awesome. If he doesn't, it'll be all right. I got more running backs that I can take. Jason says, I did a DK main yesterday and started Jefferson, Rice, Wilson, Ladd. Super fun. Yeah, what's crazy about that is like you can just get starts like that. Not always that exact start, but you can get like crazy. The wide receivers you can take are just crazy. One thing I'm learning, you have to relearn this shit like every year. It's so frustrating. It's like our brains are so dumb, but we have to relearn this stuff every year. Like I'm continually relearning to not overdo on DraftKings specifically, to make sure to not just fall into the like, oh, this is a sick wide receiver value round after round after round after round, and take the, we like to call them detours to running back or even quarterback or tight end or all of the above. Be like, you're always going to have, I think the wide receiver pricing is bad on DraftKings. And so you're like always going to be able to build good wide receiver rooms. But if you just keep falling for it, speaking of the dog vision on the colors, it's like the Family Guy episode where there's a bunch of candy and Peter is fun. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. It's easy to be like that with wide receivers for me, at least. And so I have to be like how can I take this running back over Lab McConkey? How can I take this running back over Rasheed Rice? How can I take this? And it's like you do need to just do it, suck it up and do it sometimes, because you're going to come back in the 6th round. You'd be like, oh, I also like this wide receiver. In the 7th round, oh, I also like this wide receiver. In the 11th round, oh, I like this wide receiver. On DraftKings specifically, you can actually dig yourself in a hole by hilariously taking the sort of best pick on the board, because you still have to have a requisite firepower at the other positions. And if you're a weird zero RB bro like me, that's a hurdle I have to jump over very frequently. And like I said, a lesson I have to relearn every year. So Justice did go. Justice did go. What's ADP looking like? Who's I don't want 4 Dolphins, so I do need to remove some of these fucking Dolphins. 3 non-AGM Dolphins, I think, is enough. I am going to do, let's just Nikes. Let's do the Skylar Bell thing. And I need to remove these. So many Dolphins in the queue. Good God. That's 3 Bills, right? Shakir, Ray Davis, Skylar Bell. Okay. I can get rid of Ty Johnson, which gives me 2 more picks. I need another running back. I could have done Ty Johnson and bought I do that sometimes. Take Ray Davis, no James Cook, take Ray Davis and Ty Johnson. I actually think that's pretty good. Maybe I will do that on this team. We'll think about it. Let's see. Tim says, yeah, I get boxed out of quarterback or tight end like 1 out of every 3 drafts on DraftKings. I have a good buddy, AO. I'm sure if you're listening or you'll listen to this later. He just texted me the other day. Like, I keep trying to push, like, I feel like I'm building bad teams. I keep trying to push something and then keep getting screwed, whether it's on quarterback or whatever. The reps are the only way to learn this thing. Like, you just got to keep doing the reps. You'll learn, like, at a certain point, just don't push it. There's no need. You're already building a good team. You already have a ton of good values. Don't sacrifice the team for a few picks of ADP value on a later guy. Like, just build the good team. Don't get boxed out of quarterback. Don't get boxed out of running back. Like, you already are accomplishing a good team. Don't try to what is it? Perfection is the enemy of good, or whatever the fuck the saying is. Like, just keep building good teams. Don't chase perfection on DraftKings, like, because you're most of the time you're just going to end up getting boxed out of quarterback, and you're like, you chased perfection and you built a bad team when you could have just settled for a great team, and just keep building great teams, and you're going to be good. I'm going to take Pat Bryant here to go with my Bo Nix. That's kind of sick. So we have one pick left. I'm going to take a running back, but Jamar Chase Brown, right? So again, the rules, the prompts, had to take one Colt and one Brown, had to take 3 Bills and 3 Dolphins, because I like that game more than most. And the general theme of the team is centered around the Bengals Ravens Week 17 game, right? This was a Week 17 freestyle. Jamar Chase Brown, Jeremiah Love, Cam Scattaboo, Lamar Jackson. So Chase, the Chase Bros from the Bengals, Lamar Jackson. Then we hit our back-to-back picks, our Colts and Browns prompts, Alec Pierce and Harold Fannin right there, which actually worked quite well. Needed a wide receiver, could use a high upside tight end, got that. Then sort of backed into this Broncos stack that was like not expected, but it's kind of worked out pretty well. Cortland Sutton, I don't love, but pick 94, well past ADP, we'll take it. Bo Nix in kind of the red wedding zone of like, if I don't take Bo Nix here, who knows what quarterbacks are going to be available for me to come back. Khalil Shakir was a nice ADP value here as well, and checks a box of wide receiver that I need, and a Buffalo Bill. Mark Andrews, tight end 2, obviously stacked with Lamar, and fits the Bengals Ravens theme. And then we talked about the Malik Willis thing. Like, I would not normally take a third quarterback on this team, but this is the type of situation I think I want to get better at, of being open to things that I don't normally do, things that I'm uncomfortable with when the situation presents itself. Obviously, there's a bias because I'm trying to draft Dolphins on this team, but that's sort of what helps it click, right? This is what takes me out of my comfort zone and helps me build teams that are still good that I wouldn't normally take. It just so happens that the Dolphins theme was fit into here, but we got a really nice value on Malik Willis. Stephon Diggs, talked about some free agent wide receivers, talked about Diggs feels like a Ravens ass free agent signing. Then we got into our Dolphins bag, of course. Malik Washington and Chris Bell. Ray Davis was just an absolute must for me on this team with the Bills thing. I also think Ray Davis is just a stone cold smash at his price on DraftKings. Trey Harris, we talked about that one. I needed some wide receiver juice. Skylar Bell, our final Bill here. I do think it's pretty interesting. I'm a Skylar Bell fan as a prospect. And I talked a lot about how DJ Moore may be a little bit overrated. Khalil Shakir is a fine NFL slot receiver, but who's to say Skylar Bell can't take over the third wide receiver job on the Bills? And at this price, what if he's just doing some late season stuff? In this specific example, what if he's just doing some late season stuff in Week 17 as they're beating the bricks off of the Dolphins? That would be sweet, right? There's a lot of outs, I think, for Skylar Bell. And then Pat Bryant, who I think is also a good pick as the wide receiver 3. I feel Troy Franklin goes ahead of him, and I think that's wrong. He stole Troy Franklin's job over the course of last year. I think he's a better fit alongside Sutton and Jalen Waddle than Troy Franklin is. It's a little murky, and ultimately to hit a ceiling, he probably needs an injury, but he was coming on a little bit down the stretch. He really came on before he got hurt in the very first drive. He had 3 catches in that playoff game. I think Pat Bryant is a pretty good pick. So now we just need to get one more running back here to close out the old 3-5-10-2 build on DraftKings. Who are we drafting as tight end 1 for the Rams? I still like Terrence Ferguson. I'm not drafting him necessarily because I think he's going to be the tight end 1. I'm drafting him because I think he has the most upside. Then I would go Colby Parkinson. Then I guess Max Clare, just because they spent a round 2 pick on him. Watch this. Says, what do you think about using the NFL Top 100 as a drafting strategy as voted by the players? I think the players are not I think the Top 100 thing is interesting to hear what the players think. And I think the players are a decent differing perspective from like our view as an outsider, as a fan, watching the games and also following the data. But I think they're not doing anything relating to fantasy. They're not thinking about the game of fantasy, which is not just the best players. We're not really trying to draft just the best players. They're also probably going to be a little bit behind on the younger players and hanging on a little bit to the older players longer. I think it's more of like, oh, that's interesting that they think this guy's better. Maybe I should look at him some more. That's how I would take it, is like the players really like this guy, and maybe I'm not so high on that guy. Let me go look and see, like, what might I be missing? You like thinking about it that way. Oh God, Jalen Wright. Oh, Ollie Gordon is the top of ADP. Adam Randall. No, let's go to my rankings. Damn, Malik Davis is gone. Oh, Todd. We're gonna buy the backup to Chase Brown with Taj Brooks. How about that one? It's about a little bit pricey, but I think Samaje Perine could eventually be cooked here. I liked Taj Brooks as a prospect. If I'm messing around with some different bio backfield stuff. I thought about Ty Johnson as well, but I want to do a little bit of Taj Brooks, especially do a little bit, just a sprinkle of Taj Brooks before training camp, before we get to like, oh yeah, we really like Taj. He's really improved in the offseason, and then next thing you know, he's going significantly higher. All right, let's run down this team really quick. Mentioned 1 Colt, 1 Brown, 3 Bills, 3 Dolphins, and the Bengals Ravens theme. Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, Jeremiah Love, Cam Scatteraboo, Lamar Jackson, Alec Pierce, Harold Fannin. Okay, so we've basically checked 2 of those boxes already. Cortland Sutton, Bo Nix, fun little stack. Khalil Shakir, Bill. Mark Andrews, Raven. Malik Willis, Dolphin. Stephon Diggs, maybe Raven. Malik Washington, Chris Bell, a couple Dolphins. Ray Davis, Bill. See, like, you can blend this stuff in and still make a good team. Like, I think this is a straight up good team. Trey Harris, Skylar Bell, Pat Bryant, and Taj Brooks. That was a fun team. I apologize that we were unable to get to more drafts today, but I really wanted to discuss the Week 17 games and dive into that. Hopefully that was fun for everybody. Again, if you could hit thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. I will again let you guys know that Tuesdays through Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern, I'll be hanging out live, talking best ball, talking fantasy football, drafting teams all summer. And on Saturdays, you'll get new Legendary Sickos episode, myself and Pat Corain from Legendary Upside, part 2 of our best picks in fantasy series, part 2 of 2. Will be out tomorrow morning here on the channel. I appreciate the kind words. Watch this. Thank you very much. And I will just say, wish me luck this weekend. I'm getting older. It's my birthday this weekend. Root for the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm going to not 1, but 2 St. Louis Cardinals games this weekend for the old 38th birthday. And so everybody have a wonderful weekend. Thank you. This was a ton of fun. I appreciate those kind words. And I'll sort of see you guys tomorrow on the show with Pat. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Cheers.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.